Today's edition of Talk Real Estate has been pre-recorded. Now, Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services.
Hi, I'm Sharon McNamara, and you are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable. Let me share a little bit about my background before we get started. I am the broker-owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, a boutique real estate firm that is home to over 30 real estate sales and marketing consultants who service home buyers and home sellers throughout Boston, the South Shore, the South Coast, and Cape Cod. Our firm takes pride in assisting our clients in the next chapter of their lives by taking a holistic approach to their real estate endeavors. We believe that every move should be a moving experience. Every week, my real estate team member Mary Baker and I, along with the director of Boston Connect Real Estate, Melissa Wallace, provide you with our unique marketing approach to selling homes and share with you our expertise in navigating the home buying process. We like to mix it up sometimes, so not only will you hear our perspective on real estate topics, but you will hear the expert thoughts and opinions of some of our real estate agents at Boston Connect Real Estate and the preferred professionals that we trust. Be part of our roundtable. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We'd love to talk real estate. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and wherever you listen to podcasts at Talk Real Estate Roundtable. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team or one of the dedicated agents at Boston Connect Real Estate to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with us at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate. And hello to all my South Shore neighbors. This is Sharon McNamara, and you are, of course, listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable here on WATD 95.9. And we are not live today. This is a pre-recorded show, so don't call in.
Yeah, don't call in. I'm a little out of sorts right now because we're pre-recording the show and we're typically live. We haven't pre-recorded a show since we used to go into WATD.
I know. It's been a while since we pre-recorded, but if our listeners have any questions for us, they certainly can call Tim, and Tim will take down their name and number and we can get to you, or you can just reach out to us. So you can send a text message to me, 781-294-4848, or you can call me. If you don't have to text me, you can call me. Call me. And,
Sharon, give your number one more time.
781-294-4848. But today's topic, we just thought that we would just, sort of make it a little casual. We've been talking about some heavy stuff lately, right?
We've been talking heavy real estate. And I know that this is a real estate show and we're supposed to be keeping it real. But sometimes you got to lighten it up a little bit. That's why we're pre-recording a show. We're going to be enjoying our weekend here and just sort of getting this rolling. So tonight we're going to be talking sort of real estate lingo.
Yes.
So we've done this show in the past. So if you want to listen to our old show and you don't want to listen to us right now, you can go to talkrealestateroundtable.com and listen to the past show. But we're pretty much just going to be talking about some common real estate terms and lingo that you may hear. Obviously, we are very familiar with it because we are in it every single day, but not everybody knows. So
and it's interesting too, because there's a lot of times where, if I do the radio show with my brother-in-law who was on previous to the show today, and I'll hear him, I'll say, oh, I did a CMA. And he's like, what's a CMA? And I'm just like, oh, comparative market analysis.
Yeah.
So we do have a lot of little terms that we use. Do you want to introduce our other guest?
Well, I was just going to say, I have been sort of trying to teach somebody lately, the past couple months. We've mentioned her on the show since she joined our team here at Boston Connect Real Estate. But I have been trying to teach Julia. Hello, Julia, our administrative coordinator here at Boston Connect Real Estate. You've been with us a couple months now,
right? About 4 months.
Full time about 4 months now. Yeah. But Julia, you don't have any real estate background, so this is all new to you. So I feel like this is the perfect show for Julia to join us, because I know we don't have Tim, our Saturday guy right now, that we can sort of bounce some ideas.
But we can bounce some stuff. In the studio right now, we got the big guys. We got the big guns right now. The guys that make all the big decisions there at WATD. So we have both Rob Hackala and Larry Nelson helping us out today. So they're there. Hello, guys. I don't know if you want to say hi or not.
Good morning. Yeah, Larry is helping out. In fact, he's just going to go down the hall here. But I'm happy to be here on a Saturday. Great to be with you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. So, Julia, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about who you are, where you went to school, and you're sort of like the COVID baby that ended up in the college with the COVID stuff, right?
I was, yeah. So I'm Julia. I am a resident of Pembroke. I have been my whole life. I graduated from Pembroke High School, and then I went to Bridgewater State University, where I got my bachelor's in marketing with a minor in public relations. I should have graduated in 2019, but I had to graduate in 2020 because of my credits, which obviously I didn't. I technically graduated in 2020, but I didn't get my actual like walk graduation till 2021. So by that time, I was like 3 years out.
Must have been so confusing, like with COVID and not being able to go to class and
or even to do internships, right?
Yeah, I had an internship and I had to like leave it. Like I was only a couple months in, and they like couldn't have me anymore because of COVID, and it was just like all crazy because it was like, you're so excited for your senior year, like especially being a fifth year student. I was like, oh, this is my year. Like I'm gonna enjoy the end of it. Like
it's all about me.
It's all about me. Yeah, I was looking forward to like the last class, like doing all the stuff that I like really wanted to do. But
well, one of the things that you really wanted to do, and you did, remember we had this conversation in our little kitchen here recently, that you had to do a project for school, right?
I did, yeah.
Why don't you tell a little bit about that? You want to talk about manifesting your job here at Boston Connect Real Estate?
Yeah. So when I was a sophomore at Bridgewater, I took a marketing class, and we had to do, as a final project, we had to do we had to pick what like dream job or like a career we'd like to do, and kind of like almost do like a market analysis on it, like explain like what the job would entitle, why you would actually want to do it, and like if it like made sense to you and all that. And it was kind of like the professor at the time was trying to get us to kind of like get like our head in gear and like actually figure out what we wanted to do. And I was at a point where I knew I wanted to do marketing, but I didn't know where I wanted to do it. And I ended up Googling, and I found about like marketing for real estate and all that. And I did this whole project on marketing for real estate and why I would actually want to like join the real estate business and become a marketer for it. And like I did it, and like I remember for like a few months I was like really into it, and I was like, I feel like I really want to do that. And then like later, like I like couldn't find internships, and I like kind of forgot about it. And then
well, you didn't call us.
No, I know.
And by the way, P.S., you didn't even bring that up during your interview.
I didn't. No.
That would have been like a shoe-in right there. Like that would have been like, boy, we don't have to think about anybody else. This is what she wanted to do.
Yeah, I know. It was very interesting because I remember like sitting, like I think it was like a month after I started, and I remember just like sitting at my desk, and then like I remembered the like project. I was like, I really manifested those.
I don't think she had to bring it up in her interview because I think I told her we had 24 applicants and we really narrowed it down, and I interviewed 2 through Zoom at first. And I think when she heard that, she's like, oh, I got this in the bag.
Yeah.
I got this in the bag. But we've talked about hiring an administrative coordinator on the show before. So Julia is joining us today. Like we said earlier, we are pre-recording this, so we are here during the day, and Julia was like, you know, she's down for anything, so we're like, you want to join the show? Let's go. All
right, let's get to some of this lingo. Maybe we'll just put Julia to the test and see how much.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, you know, Julia does not come from a real estate background professionally, so you're the perfect. It's like you're a caller. You know, somebody's calling in on a Saturday, and you're gonna guess what some of these things are. Okay, so we'll start off with the difference between a realtor, a salesperson, and a broker. And Julia, I'm going to ask you this. What is Sharon and what am I?
Okay, so Sharon's a broker. And I think you're a realtor.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm a realtor too, you know.
She is a realtor too. Yeah, but that's like saying I'm the president of, I'm a former governor or
It's
whatever.
like being a-
You know,
No, sir, because realtor is part of the.
I know, but I like to think of it as like.
But okay, now we're doing a show to educate people.
I know.
And remember, we have a lot of real estate agents that listen to our show. So a realtor is a designation, basically. So it's like Sharon McNamara, realtor. So it's part of the National Association of Realtors. So we pay dues to that. So our office at Boston Connect Real Estate is a realtor office. Everyone here has to be a realtor, pay those dues, and have all those great benefits that come along with being a realtor. A real estate agent
Or
is
salesperson.
is the license that Melissa has. She has a license. I think that she should go and get her broker's license, but we're waiting for her to take that class, which has been backed up because somebody else has been trying to take it. So there haven't been a lot of people doing that. So there's the difference right there.
So Sharon let you know what the difference is with that. Do you know what the difference between a buyer's agent and a seller's agent?
Well, I know we were talking about this last week because of the discussion, but I believe like obviously the seller's agent represents like the seller, and the buyer's agent is kind of like there to be like a representative for the buyer, because sometimes there never used to be one for the buyer. So
a buyer's representative.
See, you're listening and you're learning.
She's like, oh my gosh, I
I'm
didn't
taking
know
notes.
that they were going to do this to me. I want out suddenly. You're doing great. You're doing great.
Thank you.
Don't you feel like you're on like a game show?
I really do.
I know.
No, she's like, I suddenly
wish we
have
had
to take a
button.
half day.
Shazam. You beat Shazam.
Yeah. Tomorrow will be my rest day from
And just think, when we hear all this back, I bet you like Tim right now would be like doing all kinds of Jeopardy things and stuff like that. So I'm sure Rob will throw some of that stuff in there for us. All right. So what do you get next? This is good.
A CMA. What does CMA stand for?
I don't want to look down. But
It's
the comparative market analysis.
Okay. And do you know what information's in that?
I know that like usually isn't the CMA something like you give like when you're trying to like bring in a client and kind of give them like an overview on like if they're like selling at their house, or and like kind of like giving them like an overview of like the market around them. Like if they have their house, like you look at like the other houses around and
You're
kind of
comparing
like,
the market.
comparing.
Yeah. Okay. Sharon, do you want to expand on that?
Sure. So comparative market analysis is basically exactly what you just said. So anytime somebody is going to be putting their home on the market, I will do a CMA for them. And in that is content. I like to say this fluff in there, but I really don't spend a lot of time on the fluff. So the fluff would be what we do from a marketing perspective, what are, how we promote your house, all these other things that we do. I call that fluff. I just feel like we've sort of shown that we can do that, right? And I think the most important part is the educational piece of this. When I sit down with sellers, I like to educate them on where the market is right now and where I feel it's going and how to come up with a price for their house. And then we decide together, or they really decide what the sale price of their house will be. So I'm going to give a quick example because I just came from an appointment, and it's coming on the market soon. So next week that will be coming on the market, and it is a split level home. And I did a quick analysis on this property and just pulled all the split level properties, all the raised ranches in Pembroke, because it is in Pembroke. I did the last 6 months. I pulled up sold, and I pulled up under agreement and active because I want to see what's going on around it. 14 properties came up. Then what I did is I dissected them, and I took anything out that didn't have, it was just 3 bedrooms. So there was one that had 2 bedrooms. I took it out. I took out the 4 bedrooms. And then I took the square footage of this house, which was 1,250, let's say, and sort of tried to keep the houses I was going to choose that sold. As part of that, that's what I'm going to compare it to. And then any of them that had a garage, I took out because this house doesn't have a garage. So interestingly, this house had previously been on the market with another agent, and the contract expired. So they called me. It's right up the street. They wanted to go with somebody local. Interestingly, when I did the analysis, based on the sold comps, this house honestly could be up to 577. But the market has changed. The market has shifted, and it has slowed down, but not significantly in this price range, I would say. So what I did is instead of doing an analysis based on what the house sold for, I did my analysis based on what the house, there was 4 houses that I was looking at. I based the CMA on what it was listed for. Because when that went on the market, that agent was looking 6 months previous. So those are the comps that they were using. So when I did that, my number came in, the high end is 499, my low end is 475.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I didn't talk to Mary, and this happened sort of on a whim. Mary met me over there and she looked at me. She goes, I was going to say it should be under 500. And it was recently on originally for 565, went down to 525. So this new property will be going on for 499.
Perfect.
And there you go. That's my answer.
Well, and I know we've been talking a lot lately about heavy stuff, but that's a perfect example of how the market is changing and how it has changed in this year. So that's a $75,000 difference just based off of the couple months that it was on the market and not moving.
Yep. Because the emotional value, once the rates went up, the emotional value went up and out the window with it. So people weren't, just as emotionally attached to trying to get these homes. So sellers now are in a predicament where they just have to, look at what the numbers really are.
Well, I think it's always important to whenever anybody asks, when's the right time to sell my house? The right answer is when it's right for you.
Yep.
It's not necessarily when you can get the most amount of money, because maybe 6 months ago, it just didn't make sense for you. And now it does, and the value might be less, but it just, the right timing is when you should do it. And I know that that's sort of a vague answer, but it really, you shouldn't move just because of money, because you're going to be spending it on the other end.
Yeah. It's almost like when I say right sizing, I never say that anyone's downsizing, because I don't consider it a downer. I say they're right sizing. So it's the right size for you right now.
Yeah.
It's right timing. It's the right time for you right now.
And honestly, I've said this many times, you are the best at sort of educating your clients on the market and sort of telling them and showing them in MLS, and we'll get to MLS as one of the lingos, how you get to that number. And at the end of the day, it's their decision what they go on the market for. You're there to educate them. Whether they take your advice or not, that is up to them.
It is up to them.
But I've always said that you do an excellent job at
Thank you. And one of the things I love about numbers is they just don't lie. Yeah. A number is a number. And we are looking at these numbers all day, every day. I mean, we're full-time agents. I mean, I made a comment to somebody the other day, I wish we only worked 40 hours a week, even though I have been slacking a little bit on the weekends, but summer's almost over. So I get 2 more weekends where I get to, play on the boat. But anyways, it is about educating people. And when we're working with our buyer clients, we want to make sure that they're not paying too much. I know that there was a time when people were just emotionally giving offers and waiving all their rights and inspections and all this other stuff. And that isn't how we roll. So anyways, I don't want to get down a bunny trail on that.
Well, I said it before, but we'll move to MLS. So what does MLS stand for?
The multiple listing service.
Oh. Did we get a little tune?
Yeah, we got some tunes going.
And what do you see on MLS?
Oh, like listings, basically. It's kind of like the back end. Well, not back end, but like it's like, I know, like, I think it's like mostly like realtors and brokers can view it. So it's kind of like almost like kind of private from the public, so that it's like,
we have all the goods in that little thing. So,
well, the sort of quote unquote back end is private, but it also is very public because it's sort of like the hub. So all of the information starts in MLS. So the multiple listing services, then it gets sent to third-party websites like Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com, that they're pulling the information. Unfortunately, they don't pull all of the information that they need to. So those third-party websites are not completely accurate. Plus, when you try to get information from those third-party sites, you're not getting the listing agent, or if you're lucky, you get them, but you're getting somebody who doesn't know anything about the property. And what Sharon says, nobody can sell a house like a listing agent.
Yeah.
Right.
I 100% feel that way. And even in going back to what is buyer representation and what is seller representation, going to this, sometimes people are like, oh, I'm just going to go to the listing agent. I feel like I'm going to get a good deal because I'm going to beat them up on their compensation, right? Because if they're getting both sides is what they'll say. But that person is always representing the seller. And if they are doing dual agency, which is representing both people, they can't tell information back and forth anyways. But honestly, no one can sell a house like a listing agent can. And if you think about it, the listing agent is the one that's going to the house. They're doing the analysis. They're sitting with the seller. They're going through the house. They know all the ins and outs of it. They're doing all the work. People go on to Zillow. They go on to Trulia, they go on to realtor.com. And again, realtor.com, by the way, is not owned by the National Association of Realtors. Okay. They'll go on to all these sites where real estate agents are buying leads. So now you're getting an agent that probably knows nothing, could potentially know nothing about the area.
Could be brand new in the business, never done a deal.
They don't know anything about
training.
that. And they're buying leads in order to get, I hate to say this, buyers, you're considered a lead. And I mean, in our office, we just don't generate, working with people that way. I mean, we're all by referral. But if you scroll down, it is legally, they have to post who the listing agent is of that property. So if you're out there and you're using any of these third-party sites, scroll down. Even if you went to bostonconnect.com, that's our website. If we show all the listings, not just ours, but if you scroll through, you will find who the actual listing agent is. So if you're going to these other big companies as well, to their websites, scroll through and find the listing agent.
Yeah.
They're the ones working.
They're the ones working.
Yeah. That's how I feel.
Well, we'll stay in MLS. So realtors or brokers go in there, put in all the information, but you can also sign your buyer up to get information from MLS directly.
Okay.
So if you're an agent and you're working with a buyer, you want to put them in MLS so they're firsthand getting that information. They're not on those third-party sites getting the information from there. They're getting it directly from you after you've set them up in MLS, and the most accurate information. So they can call you and say, I want to know more about 123 Main Street. You pull it up and say, oh yeah, I can show you, I can do this. They're doing an open house on this time. So that's really important. So if you are an active buyer, make sure that you're working with an agent who has set you up in MLS. Because that's what you should be looking at 2:00 in the morning when you can't sleep.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is make sure you have an agent who isn't just putting your name in a database and just sending you stuff that's automatically sent to you. I mean, I honestly feel that your agent should be following up with you and saying, hey, did you notice that this new house came on 123 Main Street and it looks like it fits your criteria? Do you want to go and see it?
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I know that there are times when we've had clients and they're at work. So while you're at work full-time, our full-time job is making sure we see houses when they come on the market for you.
Yes. So something that you see in MLS when you're looking at a property is its status. Yeah. So new, I'll say new is obviously new to the market. Just went on. I think it's like 3 or 4 days it's new or something.
I think it's 48 hours.
Okay. So 2 days, that it's new in MLS, and then it becomes active. So it's active. It doesn't have a accepted offer or anything like that. Are you fanning yourself? It's very hot in here. Yeah. But then there's another status, and it's CTG, contingent. Yep. What does that mean?
I believe that's when there's an offer going on. I don't know if it's exactly an accepted offer. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So you have an accepted offer. Sharon, what are you having a hard time over there? It's pretty warm in this room. I'll take it over for a second. So if you see a status of contingent, that means it does have an accepted offer. However, there is a contingency in that offer that is preventing it from going on to the next step. So that might be they have a home inspection. So they have to get through home inspection, any negotiations that need to be done after that, then they can move forward to the next one. And I won't give that sneak peek just yet of what the next status is, but it means that there's some sort of contingency that's holding them to a certain date. It could be just signing the purchase and sales. Maybe they just didn't do a home inspection. They're just moving right over, and it could be a short amount of days.
And contingent also, when I'm doing my CMA for people,
Yeah.
now that everybody knows what that is, when I'm doing that, I'm looking at what is contingent and I'm also looking at what is under agreement. So contingent properties basically has the accepted offer. And as Melissa was saying, they might have to do home inspection or they might have to, sign the purchase and sales agreement. Generally speaking, a contingent property will be sold, which means it's gone, to closing and everything else. And it's recorded at the registry of deeds. That's usually 45 to 60 days from contingent is usually when you'll see it. It could be sooner, but that's generally about what we would see.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then under agreement, UAG, what does that mean?
It's under agreement.
So
I'll fill her in. Yeah. So that one is very similar to contingent. So we have the accepted offer. And they have gone through all of those contingencies. So they have signed the purchase and sales agreement, probably. They have had all their inspections. They've done everything they need to do. And now we're just waiting for the bank to process their part of the paperwork to get the money to close. So that is generally when we see something as under agreement, that means it will probably close within the next 30 days, 30 to 45 days. When I'm doing a CMA for people, just to back up a little bit, I'm looking at contingent and I'm looking at under agreement because that's a really good indicator for me, which way I feel the market is going to be going.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you have, I'll just say a 3-bedroom raised ranch and I see a 3-bedroom raised ranch that is under agreement, I would probably call that agent who was listing it and just saying, hey, congratulations. I see that you have 123 Main Street under agreement. I'm using that, for some of my comps on a new property that I'm going to be listing. Can you tell me if you got ad asking or above, or like how far off you were? We never ask each other what the sale price is until it's sold.
And why is that?
The reason is because if it ever falls apart, you'd never get a penny over that.
Yeah. And you don't want to have to
That
return
makes
the favor
sense.
to somebody.
And I would not. Yeah. And that's the thing. I'll give agents some ideas,
At
hey,
or above.
yeah, I'll just say, you know what, we did go over, or actually there was one in Dorchester and we didn't go over and somebody was using it as a comp. And one of my Dorchester friends there called me and asked me about it. And I was like, well, I'll let you know that we were close to asking. So we didn't go over, but I didn't give him a solid number. So we have to help each other out. We are working together. So we're all in the same sandbox.
Together. So I want to move on to DOM. Okay. And that, why do you hate this one? I was going to say that you include this in your CMAs and in your explanation of what it is and why it can be misleading.
Yeah. And the only reason why I put that in there, do you know what DOM is?
No idea.
Okay. Do you know what a deer is with no eyes?
What?
Do you know what a deer is with no eyes? This is a joke.
Oh, okay. No idea.
A deer with no eyes is a no idea.
Yep. That's me right now.
Do you know what a deer with no eyes and no legs is?
No.
Still no idea.
I can't.
Oh my God. Like one of my favorite jokes when the kids were little. I'm so glad I could use it again. Okay. What were we just talking about? DOM, days on market. Yeah. So we were talking about days on market. And the reason why I put this in my analysis when I'm doing this, and I give this information to people, because for some reason or another, people like to look at it, and I don't know what information they're really getting out of it. Now, I will say I have been in real estate for 21 years or whatever it's been at this point. And I just specifically remember doing an analysis for somebody one time and them asking me, oh, so could you tell me what your DOM is? And I was like, oh, clearly I'm not the only agent that has been here, right? Because it isn't a word that everybody just knows. So instead of saying, why do you ask? Because I knew the reason, because somebody was throwing me under the bus, because I have a very high days on market statistic. And the reason is because I do a lot of new construction. So a good example is Mary, Melissa, and I had a Copperwood Estates, which was a 34 lot subdivision. And we had that on the market for over 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So when we use a model home, the days on market is starting right when we put that on there.
Yeah.
So of course it looks like it took me a long time to, you know what I mean? It takes 2 years to sell 34, build and sell 34 houses. Days on market. I know some people get hung up on that and they're like, oh, there must be something wrong with it if it isn't selling. You never know what the reason is. Or if there's high days on market, people will say, oh, there must be something wrong with it, right?
Yeah.
There really is nothing wrong with it. Or what happened? Did it fall apart or whatever? So
we're seeing more properties
Mhm.
have higher days on market because, the past couple years, we've been seeing just like single digits until they get an offer. But, but I've also seen sort of higher days on market, but then when we go to when they're marked as sold, they're at asking or above still. So it's still happening. If the house is priced right, you'll get the price. And if it's worth, what you're at, it's okay if it doesn't happen in the first week.
Yeah, and the sky is not falling.
Yeah.
I went out and looked the other day and I was just like, yep, it's still there.
Yeah,
So
it's still up there.
Still up there.
Still blue.
The sky is not falling. But and that's the other thing too, is I feel like a lot of the media exposure to what is going on in the market, one of the things that they are not taking into effect is that July generally and August are very high vacation months, and things slow down this time of year always. So now we'll start to see things pick up because kids are going back to college, kids are going back to school at the end of the month. The fall is always very busy, and then we'll see it slow down at Halloween. And P.S. stay tuned for what's going on around here at Halloween. Can I say dog parade?
Yeah, stay tuned for the dog parade. Because that's what we're doing. We'll have more information next week.
Oh, and there's Mary Baker, who just came in to grab a sign. So hi, Mary Baker. She has an under agreement sign. That must be something good.
Yay.
Yep.
Yes, we'll have more information next week about that. But
Yes.
but yeah, so days on, are we still on days on market?
I'm sort of
I
over
think
it.
so, but
You're over it?
Yeah, but I think
Do
we have some music
Do we
that
hear
maybe
some
we have
music?
to be taking our break pretty soon? Or I don't know if I'm just hearing things, to be quite honest. Yeah, I
feel
hear
like,
something.
yeah, I
So
hear
you know
something.
what? We're going to continue this topic. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable here with myself, Melissa, and with Julia. And we're talking about real estate lingo. So you can learn all the words. And we're putting Julia to the test, and she's doing pretty good. So we will be right back after this break. Let's face it. We all get to the point in our lives when our current home no longer suits our everyday needs. With ever-changing living dynamics, addressing your future is all about right-sizing. Finding the right size home for you right now. Are the walls echoing because your house is feeling a little less full? Are you realizing that you have more space than you actually need? Are your storage areas filled with everybody else's cherished memories? Let us help you find the right size for you right now. I'm Sharon McNamara, the broker owner of Boston Connect Real Estate. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team, or one of the dedicated agents at Boston Connect Real Estate to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with us at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Let's face it, we all get to the point in our lives when our current home no longer suits our everyday needs. With ever-changing living dynamics, addressing your future is all about right-sizing. Finding the right size home for you right now. Are you having difficulty with navigating multiple levels in your home? Are you finding that yard work is taking up all of your free time? Do the home maintenance projects seem never-ending? Let us help you find the right size for you right now. I'm Sharon McNamara, the broker owner of Boston Connect Real Estate. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me and my team, or one of the dedicated agents at Boston Connect Real Estate to discuss your real estate needs, you can connect with us at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000.
We now return to Talk Real Estate, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services on 95.9 WATD.
And we're back. Hello to all our South Shore neighbors. You are listening to Talk Real Estate Roundtable, and we are talking about real estate lingo here this morning. So we're so happy that you could join us. If you have any questions for us, feel free to reach out to me on my cell phone, 781-294-4848. You can send me a text. You can give me a buzz. If you have any questions about what we're talking about tonight, or if you just need some information regarding real estate and you need someone to talk it out with, you give us a call.
Talk real estate.
Talk real estate.
Roundtable.
It's like what we like to do. Yep. And you
We
can
do.
also go to bostonconnect.com. We're in the process right now of updating our website. It is on my to-do list, but you can always reach all of our agents that way.
Yeah. All right, perfect. Let's jump right back into it.
All
So PSA or PNS.
Yeah.
What is it? What's included in it? Who drafts it?
Yeah, it's funny because when I started in the industry, I always say P and S, right?
Mhm.
Because it's a purchase and sales agreement.
Mhm.
And then for some reason or another, I noticed Mary doing it at one point or another. She would say the PSA. And
Yeah.
I'm like, purchase sale agreement. Like there is an and in there.
Yeah.
So I always say PNS, and I like to use that fancy ampersand thing, whatever it is. So I like to say that it's PNS. So a purchase and sales agreement. I took this one from Julia because I wouldn't expect that she would know this.
No, not. I've seen it on when we're going through everything
Through dot loop.
Yeah, through dot loop. I see it, but it took me a while to find it one time.
Yeah, because it's called purchase and sale agreement, and we all call it a PNS, and then Mary calls it a PSA. But anyways, with the purchase and sales agreement, those are generally drafted by the seller's attorney, and that then what happens is that they'll use the standard form in some instances, the Massachusetts Association of Realtors standard form. Then they'll add their own addendums protecting the seller. Then that purchase and sale agreement will then go to the buyers. This is after the house is all under agreement. It will go to the buyer's attorney, and then the buyer's attorney will add his own addendum that's protecting the buyer. And then it goes back and forth between the attorneys to sort of hash things out. This is why it's very, very important to always have representation. There are times where I'm still so confused where I'll say to somebody, oh, who's the seller using for representation, or who's the buyer using for representation? And they'll be like, oh no, they're not. They're just going to read the purchase and sales agreement themselves. And I was like,
Or when a realtor drafts them. No,
we will not be doing that.
We will not be doing
We
that.
will not be doing that. No.
I left my law degree at home. I cannot work on that today. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Yeah, but you just want to be protected. And again, because usually speaking, one side or the other has an attorney as a representative. So you definitely, as a layman, don't want to go against somebody who is skilled at negotiating.
He was a real estate attorney. Somebody who is familiar with the lingo, familiar with, common terms and conditions that, should be in these purchases.
And what is considered standard, you know what I mean? What's standard operating procedures, and what is standard, and that's why the attorneys can talk things through. But generally speaking, anytime we have like a divorce attorney, I'm going to use my divorce attorney, or, my friend is a defense attorney.
Yeah, all right. It's just a battle.
It is a battle.
It's like they're in the courtroom.
Yeah.
So we're buying a house. We're not, negotiating.
I may have told this story one time. I sort of digress, but that's just, hey, it's our show. We can do whatever we want, I guess. But I remember one time this attorney, he kept on saying, listen.
Oh yeah.
I've told this story before and it irritated me.
I know.
And I was like, listen. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, can I stop you right here? And I was like, when you're speaking and I am quiet, that means I am listening. So you don't have to say, listen, Sharon.
Yeah. You're insinuating that I'm not already listening to you. Yeah. But when you won't stop talking, it's kind of hard to listen.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're sort of yelling at me, I feel like I was on the hockey rink. I just wanted to drop my gloves.
Chuck them.
Yeah. I want to chuck my gloves and throw some chiclets around on the ice.
Okay, Mr. McNamara.
Mark was the center. He was very, very tough, by the way. So yeah. So that's the PSA, P and S.
Yeah. So, and who typically drafts it?
Seller's attorney.
Okay. So I'm going through our list over here. Okay. So what's an HOA? Pros and cons of an HOA?
Homeowners Association.
Yeah.
Well, we had this conversation too, right? Okay. So an HOA would be a homeowners association. So generally speaking, we see those in condo developments. And that is when everybody pays a certain association fee. And those fees, what is covered with those fees might be the landscaping, the snow removal.
And sometimes in single family home developments as well.
Yeah, we had an HOA for Copperwood that we were talking about earlier. I think it was like $25 a month or something, but that covered, they had like a gas lantern.
Yeah.
So it covered,
and it's a private road. So
it covered all of that. But I think one thing that's interesting, you can also know this when you're putting your house on the market, you can give the example of boat signage.
Oh, yes. So sometimes HOAs or developments don't allow for sale signs because they consider it soliciting. So there's nobody's supposed to go around the neighborhood and sort of sell things. So even though you're trying to sell your unit or sell your home, some associations don't allow you to have for sale signs. So we have recently here at the office had to take down 2 signs because it just wasn't allowed there. So it's super important to get the condo documents when you're selling your home, and you should have them if you live in an association. You should have them and sort of go through them, but also give them to your agent so they can go through them and they're sort of looking at it through a fine tooth, because you're going to need them when you go to sell, because the attorneys are definitely going to ask for it if the agent hasn't asked for it already.
And it's really important to look at those homeowner association documents too, because a lot of them will have that you can't store a boat in your yard. You can't put up a fence in your yard. Some are like, you can't put pools in or above ground pools.
Yeah. Even like vehicles that have signage on it. So anybody who's self-employed. So the McNamara plumbing truck might not be able to go be parked in some of these associations, if you guys lived there. So that's very important for a buyer. That might deter them from purchasing the home, because if somebody is self-employed and has work trucks and that's how they make their living, they won't be able to park them there.
That's I know we talked earlier today when we had our meeting, and we're going to meet again about talking about, some topics for the real estate show. And I said, one of the things that I'd like to talk about is, what do you have to disclose? What are disclosures?
Yeah.
That would be a good one in there, is for the homeowners association, what questions should you be asking sellers? And it really comes down to, if this buyer had this information prior to putting an offer in on this home, would they have changed their mind on purchasing this home? And I would say yes. If you are self-employed, and let's just say it's McNamara Plumbing, he has, a big box truck. If we went through that whole process and nobody told us, and then we showed up and said, here's that box truck that does not fit in our garage.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say the other option is to put it in the garage, but that box truck, does it even fit in your garage?
No, a lot of work trucks.
Yeah. So that would have definitely changed our perception of this house fitting our needs. So that's going to be a good show. So we'll do that maybe next Saturday or next Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that. Perfect. So listen to us next Saturday too. We already have that. Julia, she'll be working on our agenda.
Let me give you one. I'm going to give Mel one. I'm going to trick her up a little bit.
Oh gosh, please.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And Rob, feel free, and Larry, if you're still there, feel free to play along too. LTV.
Oh, loan to value.
Yes. Yeah. So explain that to people.
So it's a ratio that I think what the lenders use. So when you're looking at an offer, so you have a certain amount of money that you can put down, and then anything else that you don't have liquid cash, that would be what you are going to be financing. So I'm on the right track, right? Yeah. So okay. So it's a percentage of a property's value that I think is covered by the loan. So whatever it is, the loan is going for, based off of your purchase price.
Exactly. All right. DTI,
debt to income.
Tell people what that is.
Me or Julia?
You.
Oh, okay. So
you can read it just as well as
I was going to read it.
Debt to income. So it's based off of how much debt you have and how much you can get as a loan.
Yeah. How much you can borrow.
How much you can borrow.
So what is
based off of what your debt is.
Exactly.
Okay.
Determining what all your debt is and what your payments are. What are they looking at? Are they looking at, student loans? Are they looking at, I don't believe that the loan officers are thinking about what your monthly payments are going to be. They're what they are now. So you have to sort of be prepared for like your electric bill and for, if the water heater goes or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I would say that's important. And I think I don't know much about it, but I know that there's, good debt, there's bad debt. And, just because you have whatever's considered good debt, just because you have that doesn't mean you can't get a loan.
Yep.
But again, a loan officer can put all that information out because I don't know. I don't know.
All right. What's next?
Okay. Am I going or are you going?
You can go.
Okay. What's an extension?
An extension. Do you know?
I have no idea.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Oh, you're still on the deer joke? I have
Yeah.
no
so,
idea.
yeah.
What's a deer with no eyes?
No idea. Okay, so an extension would be and this is one of the important roles that we have as real estate agents is making sure that we're staying up to date with all the dates
Mhm.
and being on top of those because we're keeping you in contract. We never want to be the one that has you out of contract and risking your deposit. If you're
Yeah.
a buyer's agent, if we're a seller's agent, we're definitely paying attention to those dates as well because we don't want a transaction to fall apart, right?
Yeah.
And if it does fall apart, if it's based on the buyer missing a date, then the seller potentially could keep their deposit. Okay.
Yeah.
And these deposits are huge. I mean, it's generally speaking, we're seeing 5%. We've seen more. It can be up to 3% though, that we're
Mhm.
seeing, right? But I feel that I don't know what I feel because I forget what the question.
Extension.
Extension.
So I don't know how I feel.
I don't know how I feel because I clearly forget the question. But extension would be, okay, you're purchasing a home, Mr. Buyer, and you are going to have your home inspection by this date. So let's just say the date is August 29th. You're going to have your home inspection by August 29th. If we're getting closer to that date and you don't have your home inspection and that date passes, then you don't have the right anymore to still have your home inspection. You've missed that contingency date. If we're getting closer, you might say, you know what, I wasn't able to get a home inspector. It's only 4 days away. And I would like an extension on that. So you
Mhm.
can then, it's another document that just, and a lot of times I'll be honest, the attorneys are doing it amongst themselves via email and things like that. They're sort of cooperating with that.
Yeah.
But we do have forms and it would say that, the house address, the purchase and sales date,
Mhm.
whatever. And then
Mhm.
we would just extend that time.
Yeah. What about earnest money deposit?
I think earnest money deposit, it's funny. It's like, I feel like when we hear earnest money deposit, it's more like a Southern thing. When
A Southern thing.
it's a Southern thing. It's a thing here, but when you hear it called earnest money, I feel like it's a Southern thing because
Oh.
we always just call it escrow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we call it escrow money. So it is basically the same thing. And that is, it's your earnest deposit that you're saying to the seller, I am a buyer and I am going to give you this earnest money.
Well, when did they give it to you?
So the first deposit that you give is generally when you submit your offer. If your offer gets accepted and it is cashed. So everybody knows that. I don't know why people think that you can give someone a check and think they wouldn't cash it, but
Mhm.
it is cashed. So the first $1,000, and then that does go through, towards your loan or towards the purchase. And then the second one is when you are signing the purchase and sales agreement
Mhm.
is when you give that larger one. So that's why too, like we've had this show before too about, when you're working with a team, they're going to tell you like, okay, we're going to need a percentage when it comes time for this. And then sometimes you get to that time and they forget and they'll say, oh, I have to have that liquid. Well, yes. Well, I have that in a 401k.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we need to get that out of the 401k. Or, oh, I didn't know because I was going to use proceeds from the sale of my house to put that much money down.
Mhm.
Generally speaking, we don't see anything over 5% is generally what we see.
For the second deposit. This isn't part of your down payment.
No.
For it. We're talking about the second deposit.
And it does actually go towards your sale, like, so the sale purchase, right? To the purchase of the property. But we don't, as a buyer's agent, I don't want you holding on to more money. I mean, we recently closed on something last month and we were holding $101,000 of this
Yeah.
buyer's money. And guess what? He waived mortgage contingency. He waived home inspection. He waived everything. Then they came to us and said, oh, guess what? He has to have a family member be on this loan with him.
Yeah.
So something happened where he was overextended and wasn't able to get the loan. He had to redo that paperwork. But if he didn't get that loan, he could have lost $100,000, $101,000.
Oh, well, this is why it is important to have a full-time realtor on your side, on your team.
On your team.
On your
for
team.
sure.
appraisal.
Mm.
What's an appraisal? Who does an appraisal? At what point do you need an appraisal?
So an appraisal is done, generally speaking, by it's different from me doing a CMA for someone. So I'll do a market analysis.
Mhm.
I'm given the price. The bank will send out an appraiser and do an appraisal on the property once you've signed the purchase and sales agreement, generally is when they'll send out that appraiser. And the bank they're taking care of what is soon to be potentially their asset,
Yeah.
right? They're just lending you the money. But if you don't, God forbid, if you lose your job or you can't make those payments or whatever happens and it goes into foreclosure, well, the bank wants to make sure that their asset is protected. So they'll send out a bank appraiser to come and do the appraisal on the property to see what the value of the house is and to see if the house is $500,000 and you're going for a $400,000 loan and it appraises at $300,000, you're probably not getting the loan, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why.
Well, we always like to say that you have to sell the house twice. So it goes on the market, you have to find a buyer. So you sold it to them, and then you have to sell it to an appraiser as well. So do you want to talk a little bit about what happens at the appraisal?
Yeah, sure. So our team, and generally speaking, everyone in this office, all of our agents here at Boston Connect Real Estate, everybody has gone through this training with us here, how we do things as a team. We think it's very important for the listing agent to be present at that bank appraisal. You're meeting the appraiser. Generally, it's when his timeline is best. It makes sense. I mean, they're trying to fit so much in. So you will meet them. Generally speaking, they'll know the sale price of what the sale price is. We'll bring purchase and sales agreement with us. We'll bring comps, but sometimes you need to be careful because some appraisers are like, listen, I don't want your comps. I know how to do my job. And then there are other appraisers who are like, hey, thanks so much. Like, you definitely have your pulse on the market a little bit better there. But I'm also giving information like, hey, I know that this house was on the market for $500,000 and we're under agreement for $650,000. Just so you know, we ended up with 42 offers and they were all above asking.
Yeah.
Like that type of information they want to know because it's a really good indicator that not only was that house worth it to one person, it was worth it to several.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's important for us to be there for that. And usually the appraisal is done after the purchase and sales agreement is signed. And that purchase and sales agreement is generally signed 10 days after the accepted offer.
And again, it's important to say that, you're selling the house twice. So, and nobody can sell a house like a listing agent. So why wouldn't the listing agent be there to essentially sell it to somebody who is very, very important? They decide whether or not the value is there.
And the other thing too is we always have a nice list of what the improvements are on each of our listing properties too. So, we have newer windows. The roof is from 2020. It has a new heating system. It has a new water heater. All of those things do matter. So you definitely bring those to the attention. And to it sometimes, it hasn't happened recently, but I do remember that Donna Bagney one time had a listing in Pembroke and it didn't appraise. And I told them to appeal it. And one of the comps that the appraiser was using, it was like pre-short sale, a really bad divorce. It was one of those situations, just let me get out of here type thing. And the appraiser didn't know that. So when I go and meet the appraiser, I like to tell them, hey, this is a distressed property. This is what happened with this property. Most recently, it's been like, hey, that one that's under agreement right there, you don't know this, but the agent told me it's on for 500, but it sold for 600, so we're giving them as much information as we can.
Yeah.
So we're going to be wrapping up here pretty soon, right?
We are. I think we only have a minute left. So any final thoughts or any final words of wisdom for our listeners until our next show?
Yeah, I just think that having a team, we always talk about this, whether it's our team, a team from Boston Connect, or a team from some other real estate office, that's around here locally, just definitely have somebody who knows this lingo. You looking it up online and reading it, sometimes it's a little different. So the interpretation, I think it's better to sort of know it and engross yourself in it.
Anything, Julia? Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having
your
me.
first show.
I definitely learned a lot now.
And you got an A plus on
A
the
crash
test.
course.
Thank
A
you
crash
so much.
course.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Awesome.
all for listening to us, and we will be live again on Tuesday night at 6:15. Thank you so much.
And we're going to be talking on Tuesday night. We're going to be talking about title insurance.
Title
again.
insurance,
We're
with
gonna
Amy
have
Maxford.
with Amy. She'll be with us again from
Sherman Law.
Sherman Law. And if you need any of our past shows, you can go to talkrealestateroundtable.com, or on your podcast app, you can go to Talk Real Estate Roundtable, and you can go to bostonconnect.com. Find us there. We will talk to you next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye.